National Assembly passes 54.9 trillion naira 2025 budget. Tax reform bills clear second reading in the House of Representatives. And lawmakers demand suspension of telecom tariff hike. From fraud allegations to tax reforms and telecom tariffs, the House of Representatives has been busy. The lawmakers have also approved the 54.9 trillion naira 2025 budget. Welcome to You and Your Reps. I am Victor Azo. Thank you for joining us. The National Assembly has passed the 2025 budget, raising the total to 54.99 trillion naira, an increase of more than 700 billion naira from the initial proposal of 54.2 trillion naira. Now, with this approval from both the Senate and the House of Representatives, attention now shifts to implementation.
Bill for an act to authorize the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation
the total sum of 54 trillion 990 billion.
A breakdown of the 2025 budget of restoration, securing peace and building prosperity shows capital expenditure put at 23.9 trillion naira, while recurrent has 13 trillion naira, and debt servicing is to go up 14.3 trillion naira, among others.
I hope that this appropriation bill will contribute to moving Nigeria forward and will assist Mr. President in his renewed hope agenda to renew the hope of Nigerians in all facets of life, from infrastructure to security and to provision of even respect for this country from the international community.
The Joint Committee on Appropriations, while presenting the report on the 2025 budget for consideration, explained that President Tinubu had, following the suspension of aid by the U.S. government, provided $200 million to fill the funding gap.
The President took proactive measure and made a new provision of $200 million, which is equivalent to about 300 billion naira in the service-wide vote to fill the gap created by the United States government, suspension of the intervention to the global health sector.
And also we have some genuine requests from some agencies like INEC, NFIU, DSS and other stuff. So that's what to make it 700 billion additional.
President Tinubu presented the 2025 budget to a joint session on the 18th of December 2024. Senate had in the meantime commended the federal government for road projects and urged the inclusion of the Northeast Zone in the Renewed Hope Superhighway project, sequel to a motion from Senator Danjuma Goje.
The Northeast is also the only zone in this country that's not connected to Mr. President's superhighway project embarked upon by this administration.
Senate calls on government to rehabilitate all roads across the country.
Later on, You and Your Reps sat down with Deputy Chairman of the House Committee on Public Assets, Ismail Dabo, to break down what the budget passage means for Nigeria and its citizens.
The budget is, I can say, is one of the best budget so far, with the highest figure. And if you look at the figure for the 2025 budget, you actually see a lot of hope for the nation. With the recent increment of about 4-point-something trillion to the budget, we're sure of having serious developmental changes in 2025. There are areas like the solid mineral. They have given a substantial amount of money from the figure, infrastructure as well, and some other 2 major agencies. So I'm sure with what is going to solid mineral infrastructure and so on, it will make a serious difference. For the first time, if you look at the breakdown of the budget, we have 3.645 trillion for statutory transfers. We have 14.317 trillion for debt servicing. We have 13.64 trillion for recurrent expenditure. And we have 23.963 trillion capital expenditure. That's development funds. If you look at the capital expenditure, you will see the amount is encouraging compared to previous budgets. We have chunk of money to spend in terms of infrastructure, security, and so on. Education, health, provision, and so on. So many sectors that required special intervention. With this figure, it will address almost the urgent issues this country is facing. So it's a budget that we have hope, if fully implemented, that Nigerians will see the impact. Nigerians will feel the difference. And we're praying that our projection in terms of revenue generation and implementation should come to reality. If that happens, then we're home and drive. The budget will address the issue of inflation in the country. It will address the issue of insecurity, and it will improve our health sector. It will also address the issue of the deficit we have in terms of infrastructure. So it's a big budget that we hope and we pray that the projections in terms of revenue should be actualized so that the implementation will actually take place as expected. We are still on a right track. Just the little delay is just, let me say, 1 month delay. While the 2024 budget is still running till June. So many projects going on. It is unfortunate that the budget was presented late to the National Assembly. But despite the fact that we don't have much time after presentation of the budget, we suspended all our trips, our holiday, whatever. We remain focused, and we did what we're supposed to do and make sure that we pass the budget within short period of time so that Nigerians can also have some relief from the inflation, high rate of food items, building materials. Our economy, it's really in a shaky situation. But from the projection, you can see that inflation will reduce by 30% in 2025. One. Secondly, the exchange rate, the benchmark, the Naira will appreciate, which you can see already before the first quarter from 600 and something to a dollar, 1,600 and something now to 1,500 and something. So we are getting there. So Nigerians should expect a very good outcome after full implementation of the budget. So be it, having said that, the period for 2026 budget, I'm sure the executive will bring the budget at the appropriate time, maybe 3 months before the expiration of the fiscal year. So we're hoping that that amendment, that correction will take place.
The House of Representatives is turning its spotlight on alleged shady deals in contract payments. Lawmakers are probing claims of fraudulent practices within the Federal Ministry of Finance and the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. And at the heart of the debate is how contracts are paid for and whether human interference is making room for corruption. Majority Leader Julius Ihonwere and two other lawmakers are pushing for a fully digital system to ensure transparency.
The Majority Leader anchored his motion on reports alleging that contractors handling critical federal government projects are being allegedly coerced into offering kickbacks as condition for processing their invoices in the Federal Ministry of Finance.
If these allegations are not thoroughly investigated and addressed, contractors will lose confidence in the government engagements, leading to slowed economic development and failed infrastructure projects nationwide. Appreciates that this situation demands an urgent and decisive response.
This motion is referred to the Committee on Finance for further legislative action.
Another resolution sought payment of contractors engaged by the Niger Delta Development Commission.
The House Committee on NDDC to investigate the matter with a view of identifying the contractors, recommend payment plan.
In other motions, lawmakers condemned armed attacks on defenseless traders in Delta Market in Fika local government area of Yobe State.
17 lives were lost, while several others sustained varying degree of life-threatening injuries. Provide financial assistance and relief materials to traders and families of the deceased affected by the attack.
A bill seeking to establish district and magistrate courts for the Federal Capital Territory with jurisdiction over civil and criminal cases scaled second reading.
For the appointment of district court judges and magistrates and of other court officers and for other purposes relating to or connected with the administration of civil and criminal justice.
The House also passed through second reading a bill to establish a comprehensive regulatory framework for online and remote gaming across state boundaries and national borders.
To repeal the National Lottery Act number 7 of 2005 and the National Lottery Amendment Act number 6 of 2017, and to enact the Central Gaming Bill to regulate the operation and business of all forms of online and remote gaming.
And what started as a debate has now turned into common ground. The House of Representatives has advanced 4 key tax reform bills, marking a step forward for the administration's fiscal agenda. Now, after a heated but constructive debate, lawmakers agreed to push the bills through second reading, setting the stage for further scrutiny.
The bills are the Nigeria Tax Bill 2024 to repeal archaic tax laws and the Tax Administration Bill to prescribe the powers and functions of tax authorities. Others are the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill to specify powers of assessment, collection, and accounting for revenue accruable to the government, as well as the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill to create the Tax Appeal Tribunal. Majority Leader Julius Ihonwere led the debate on the consolidated bills seeking to rejig the nation's tax system.
There is an increase in the tax exemption threshold for small businesses with annual turnover of 25 million. So if you are at that level, 25 million to 50 million will be the threshold under which you will be exempted from tax.
The general principle of these bills will allow us the level of funding that we need as a nation to grow into the next generation. When I look at the tax bill itself, sir, it is so state-centric. It gives a lot of more money to states. Federal government reduces is 15% to 10% and gives the 5% to states.
If Nigeria, with over 250 million people, has about half of its population as women, I see this bill and this fiscal reform as a good time for Nigerian women.
Other lawmakers expressed areas of concern that should be addressed at public hearings.
There is the concern over burdening the taxpayers then also there may be some level of exclusion where technology cannot reach.
One good thing is that innovation is coming. It could be difficult, but it is desirable. And so whilst we oppose some of the letters of the law, we support the spirit of the law in total.
Meanwhile, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas has inaugurated the House Committee on Northwest Development Commission with a mandate to fast-track infrastructural growth in the region.
To succeed, a comprehensive needs assessment must be conducted across the zone, identifying priority areas for intervention.
The House of Representatives is drawing a line: no higher telecom tariffs without better service. Lawmakers have asked the Minister of Communications and the Nigerian Communications Commission to hold off on any price increase until network quality improves. Now, at last Tuesday's plenary, the debate was clear. Nigerians shouldn't have to pay more for calls and data that barely connect.
With the leave of Mr. Speaker,
The 50% tariff increase for telecom services recently approved by the Nigerian Communications Commission is still generating debate.
to increase their performance.
Lawmakers debated the justification for an increase, with some citing erratic telecom services as reason to put the hike in tariffs on hold.
It is imperative that the telecommunication company improve on their service delivery, poor network, which Nigeria have been yearning for.
How do you expect them to increase their performance, knowing that prices of virtually all the various indices have increased?
You can't be paying for something you don't enjoy. You will agree with me that services in the telecom industry right now is not at its best. In Nigeria, you have to carry more than one phone. For what reason?
This motion is referred to the Committee on Communication for further legislative action.
In a separate motion, the House urged the federal government to boost counter-terrorism efforts in Borno State to prevent further insurgent activities.
The continued terrorism attack in Haul, Askira-Uba, Chibok, and other parts of Borno State not only threaten the safety and well-being of residents, but also undermine national security.
It is high time for us to stem the insecurity in this country and bring it to a total stop.
A bill seeking a regulatory body for cases of organ harvesting, transplant, and donations passed second reading.
It's my pleasure
Speaker Tajuddin Abbas announced Isiaka Ibrahim from Ogun State as new Deputy Chief Whip of the House to replace the late Adewumi Ononuga, based on recommendation from the APC caucus.
You have probably heard the term bicameral legislature when people talk about Nigeria's National Assembly. But what does it really mean? Let's hear from Chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, Francis Waive, as he breaks it down.
Most legislatures around the world, they run either a bicameral legislature or a unicameral legislature. In Nigeria particularly, at the state level, the subnational, there is a unicameral legislature, meaning that there's just one House of Parliament in Nigeria, the State House of Assembly, just that. But then at the federal level, we have a bicameral system legislature where you have the Senate and then you have the House of Representatives. The Senate is on equal basis, 3 per state, whereas the House of Representatives is based both on several factors: population, landmass, a lot of other factors as defined by the Constitution. So when you have these two, the aim here is a situation where one of the arms of the legislature, what the count didn't see in a bill, the other would see it. And when they come together to look at what they have worked on, then there is a conference to iron out the difference. It's usually beautiful, and it makes a more thorough work. There is also a separation in terms of the functions that are assigned. For instance, the Senate does a lot of the confirmation of appointments, whereas the House has the power of the purse, because at the end of the day, if there's a joint sitting, and there should be a joint sitting in the Appropriation Act, in passing the Appropriation Act, you'll find that with 360 members, as against the 109 senators, the senators will never want a joint sitting, because the House would always win. So that's why we say the House has the power of the purse, while the Senate has the power to make those confirmations. That's the beauty in the bicameral legislature, where you have two houses of parliament in democracy in any government. You call it a bicameral legislature, like we have at the national level. At the state level in Nigeria is just one, the State House of Assembly, and at the local level is just a council, where the councillors meet and discuss. So that's the difference between the two, bicameral and unicameral legislature.
That's where we leave it on you and your reps. We thank you for your time. I am Victor Azul. Thank you for joining us, and join us again.